This is Mustafa Shoaib. Mustafa was born and raised in Armanaz, a small town in northwestern Syria. Mustafa was a key member of Gold's logistics team in Armanaz, helping to distribute essential food, water and medical aid to those whose lives have been shattered by this brutal conflict. Last year, Mustafa was preparing for his wedding, which was only a week away. And then, on the 29th of September 2017, everything changed. Mustafa was just 30 years old when he lost his life, doing the one thing he knew he had to do, to help those in need. But Mustafa was not the only gold worker to lose his life in Syria. Gold worker Zayad Abdulhai was only 26 when the car he was travelling in was destroyed by a bomb. Hayyan Ramadan, a key member of Gold's team in Syria, was only 28 when he was killed by an airstrike in the town of Darkush. Nihad al-Qadi was one of the first gold workers to respond after that airstrike. And even though he knew more airstrikes were likely, Nihad and the rest of his gold team remained in Darkush to tend to the victims of the first bombing. The second airstrike didn't happen until later that night. Nihad was 37 years old and left behind his wife and 3 children. We think of Nihad, Hayyan, Zayad and Mustafa as heroes because they are heroes, and we want to acknowledge their extraordinary sacrifice and endless courage. But what we often forget is that they were not born heroes. They were just ordinary people like you and me. They were brothers and fathers and husbands and friends. But what makes them stand out is that when they were faced with unspeakable horror and unimaginable suffering, they chose to act. They chose to do whatever was in their power to help those in need. And so they joined Gold. And for over 40 years, thousands of ordinary men and women just like them have dedicated themselves to doing whatever they could to help those most in need. In fact, tonight, there are over 2,400 gold workers saving lives in the most isolated and dangerous places on earth. In Sierra Leone and Haiti, they are caring for victims of floods and hurricanes. In South Sudan and Ethiopia, they are treating thousands of refugees fleeing the brutal civil war. In camps along the Syrian border, they are offering emergency shelter to nearly 1 million people caught up in the ongoing brutal conflict. Inside Syria itself, as the threat of an escalation in the conflict increases, there are over 400 local gold workers who are risking their lives to bring water, food and essential supplies to those who need it most. But they don't see that as bravery, and they don't think of themselves as heroes. They are simply doing the most immediate, the most practical and the most effective thing that they can do to help. For some, it is distributing aid or helping to rebuild devastated communities. For others, it is flying into war zones to care for the sick or feed starving children. And for us, the most immediate, the most practical and the most effective thing that we can do is to support Gold in every way we can. Heroes like Mustafa, Zayad, Hayyan and Nihad are just ordinary people who chose to act. Ordinary people who, when given the opportunity, chose to do everything that they could to help. This is our opportunity. So please, be brave enough to give, be courageous enough to be generous, or be a hero and give everything that you can.